All right, welcome back in. It's a Gold Jacket Thursday here on Rothman and Ice, and this man was the starting right guard with the Miami Dolphins in that perfect season of 72, but so much more. 3 straight Super Bowls, including the back-to-back victories in 7 and 8. He was a 7-time All-Pro, voted onto the 70s All-Decade team, and I believe he is one of only 14 men with a bronze bust in Canton who entered pro football undrafted. Enshrined in the class of 93, he is the one and only Larry Little. Larry, welcome back to Football Heaven.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Let's start with your enshrinement there. Why was it so important for you to have Don Shula presenting you?
Well, what happened, the year before Shula came to Miami, I had a good career in the Georgia Wolves in 1969, but when Don came to Miami, he got the best out of me. Not only Don Shula, but I always have to talk about my offensive line coach at the time also, Monty Clark, who was a great offensive lineman here with the Cleveland Browns. But he was able to get the best out of me. He saw something in me that I really didn't see in myself. And first thing he did was he had to lose 20 pounds. The first time I met him at this press conference, I went to see him because I was there a year before he came to Miami. And I came and said, Coach Shula, my name is Larry Little. I'm your right guard. The first thing he said to me, how much do you weigh? And I said, 285. He looked at me and walked off. Didn't say another word to me. So, linemen back then in those days, not like the lineman today's football, because he thought I was too big. And this is what happened. He got the best out of me, made me lose 20 pounds. And I guess you can say the rest is history.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Larry. Take us inside the locker room of the 72 team, that undefeated team, one of the most historic teams of all time in the National Football League. In your opinion, what made that team so special and led to that undefeated year?
Well, one thing that helped us was the year we lost to Dallas the year before. And we felt we were a better football team than what we showed that day, and Dallas really put it on us. The first thing Shula did when we came back for training camp, he showed us a film of that game and said, I know you don't want to have this feeling again. And we didn't. And I think what made that team special, although we lost, but we were still a young football team, but we were still a good football team. And we felt that if we could put everything together, our team could go a long ways, although it wasn't in our mind. We didn't even talk about going undefeated. All we talked about is getting back to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl.
He is Larry Little, and he was named the best lineman in the AFC 3 straight years. And he's with us now from the Hall of Fame, and he is back for the residency program. You'll get a chance to meet and greet with Larry Little. This Saturday, he'll be in the hall, and as I like to say, you can't miss him. He'll be the guy in the gold jacket. All right, so that was a wild, undefeated year because if I remember correctly, Bob Greasy, your quarterback, got injured in the 5th game of the year, and Earl Morrill kind of took you guys, the veteran, kind of remained the starter all the way up through the first half of the AFC Championship game. Shula needs a spark. He pulls him. Greasy takes you the rest of the way. Give me a little bit on that, on how you guys felt at that moment, because Earl was obviously leading you through that year.
Well, first of all, when Bob was hurt, it wasn't gloom and doom for us because we knew we had a very capable backup quarterback in Earl Morrill. And Shula, so his foresight, knowing that Earl could still be a winning type quarterback because he had played for Shula in Baltimore, he brought Earl in that year in training camp. And the first thing when Bob was injured, when Earl came into the game, he said, everybody be cool now. Everything's going to be all right. And ironically, with the great running backs that we had, Mercury, Zonka, Jim Kidd, a lot of people didn't know this, But Earl had the longest running touchdown for the year. He ran a 37-yard touchdown. But knowing that Earl took us to the Super Bowl, to the AFC Championship, Bob was still our leader. And against Pittsburgh, we were kind of lethargic playing the game. But Shula had the foresight and to take Earl out the game and put Bob in, and Bob took us the rest of the way. But Earl was the one that really took us there, and we all had a great respect for Earl. But Bob was the one that we needed to get us over the hump to win the Super Bowl.
Larry, I want to ask you about your time at Bethune-Cookman, both as a player and as a head coach. I'm sure that had to be very special for you to go out there on the field and accomplish what you accomplished, but then to come back and do what you did as a head coach. Take us inside that time for you personally.
Well, going to Bethune-Cookman, I only had 2 scholarships. One went to a small school in Raleigh, North Carolina by the name of St. Augustine. Another was to Bethune-Cookman. It was during the days of segregation. And I knew no major schools were going to recruit me. But, the so-called major schools back in the day, the Tennessee States, the Florida A&M right there in Florida, the Grambling, none of those teams recruited me. And the only reason I went to Bethune-Cookman, because it was closer to home in Miami and they being in Daytona Beach. And I knew my parents wouldn't have the money to bring me home on the short holidays like Thanksgiving and holidays like that. So I chose Bethune-Cookman. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me, that going there, my college coach played professional football. He played with the Steelers for 5 years. And he had a pro offense that he brought to us at Bethune-Cookman. And that helped me to carry over into the thing that we did in pro football when I started my career in pro football.
How did you, when you were developing your skills, how did you make the choice of offensive line or defensive line, or was kind of the choice made for you?
Well, during those days, you had to play both ways. My first through my junior year, you had to play offense and you had to play defense. My senior year is when they changed the rule and you could go strictly offense. And they moved me to defensive tackle. I was a nose guard, and I was an All-American nose guard at Bethune-Cookman. But I practiced on offense, too, because we didn't have but 39, 40 guys on the team. So I was able to practice both ways, and I transitioned what I learned there in the pro football when I went to the San Diego Chargers.
Let me ask you again about the 72 season. I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times, so I'll ask you 1,001. How do you answer the question when people ask you, was your 72 team the best team in the history of pro football?
We were. That's all I can say. And I use the term, too. We had often imitated, but never duplicated. We still, to this day, don't get the credit for what we accomplished by going undefeated. A lot of people say, we didn't play a tough schedule. But when the season started in 1972, every team was 0-0. So we were the only team to keep going, winning 14 straight games, then winning 3 straight games in the playoffs and 2 in the playoffs and 1 in the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you a final one. Did Zonka and Manny Fernandez really put a live alligator in Shula's shower?
That's a true story.
And how did Shula take it?
The ironic part about that, Bill Lonsberger, who's the defensive coordinator, he went to take the shower first and saw the alligator. But he didn't tell Shula it was in there. And when Shula went in, and he ran out in the hallway butt naked. That's a true story.
That's good. Listen, I knew you guys were a tight group. That truly illustrates it for us. I hope you enjoy your time in the residency. To have you come back to Canton is tremendous, and I hope you're looking forward to it and you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you very much. Canton is my second home. Miami is my first home. Canton is my second home. It's great being back.
And you'll never move out of Canton. I can assure you that.
I won't. I'll be here forever.
Thanks, my man. Be well. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.